Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday live stream. A lot of things going on, so let's jump into it. First, let me say sorry. I was gone the last 4 days or so. I was visiting family in California and been gone for 4 days. So it looks like I didn't miss too much, except for the entire market just did a 180 reversal, and things are looking pretty good. And then, of course, today we had some pretty good news. Looks like the inflation rate is dropping. Now, I'm not going to cover this in detail. Everybody else has covered this, but here's what you have to know. The inflation rate is going down. I think we were supposed to, the expectations was roughly 2.4%, which was last time. It's what they thought was going to stay to. And now we're at 2.3% as we for April. Less than expected and lowest since 2021. So, of course, that and other good news is happening. The market has responded quite well. We've got a market cap over 3.5 trillion. Bitcoin's, I think, at one point touched 105K. Everything's up over the last 24 hours, 7 days, and 30 days. And look at Ethereum. Ethereum is just ripping 48% in 7 days. So congratulations to Ethereum holders. I'm one of those guys. Feeling pretty good. XRP up 20% in 7 days. I mean, everything's looking pretty great for what it is. And really, it just comes down to just holding on. You know what you hold. You've done the research. You've done the hard part. You bought during the bear market when everybody said you were a moron. Let's be honest. And now you get to reap the rewards. So that's what's happening in the market itself. And what was interesting to see was what was happening behind the scenes as everybody was pretty much bashing digital assets. Even though we had a pretty good rally and a run. This was a post that I had reposted about a week ago or so. Fidelity says if your company isn't earning 65% on invested capital, you should really look at Bitcoin. And they really were asking, this was at the MicroStrategy, the strategy event where they invited different institutions and big players in to ask them, what are you doing with your unused earned capital? And if you're not putting into Bitcoin, why are you even not thinking about it? And they made some pretty compelling arguments. And we covered this in detail roughly about a week ago. And just fascinating to see the different places that Bitcoin has been picked up. I got to tell you, I've been here since 2017. And if any of these names would have came out back then, we would have had the biggest bull run of all time. And this is from Bitcoin historian, real good account to follow. $1 trillion banking giant UBS says rich clients are diversifying as much as 5% of their total assets into crypto. Now, I got to tell you, that's for rich clients, whatever that actually would entail. It doesn't really matter as long as they're getting into it. 5%, I would think, would be kind of a risky valuation. I would think they would do like 1 to 3% first, but 5% seems like a pretty reasonable number. But it really depends on how many there actually is. But that's not the big story. I mean, rich clients are rich clients. You always got the crazy ones out there that may be geniuses. Then you got like stuff like this. Latin America's largest e-commerce company, Mercado Libre, just bought 400 more Bitcoin, and it looks like they are stockpiling it, just like other businesses are doing, such as MicroStrategy. Also, public AI company Next Technology reveals it bought 5,000 Bitcoin for that's a lot, $180 million this March. And of course, they have to report these things because they believe they're a publicly traded company, and that's usually what happens with the SEC. So they have to say, yes, we put that on our balance sheet. And you're going to hear more and more about that as time goes on, such as Next Technology, 5,000 Bitcoin, same thing. And then this one actually struck me as interesting because they didn't buy Bitcoin. This is Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank has bought almost 100,000 of MicroStrategy stocks for $30 million, an average price of $310 per share in Q1. Total holdings is 518,000 shares. What this says to me is that they're like, well, we can't really delve into Bitcoin. Maybe there's a regulatory issue. I'm not for sure. But what they're doing is saying, like, we are going to invest in a strategy, which essentially we're not in it because of MicroStrategy and their data analytics platform. We're in it because of Bitcoin, of course. So we've just seen more and more industries getting into it, more and more companies. And it's not just about getting into Bitcoin, but it's a proxy to Bitcoin that they can legally get into. So I think that's another big news. And also, I think this hit yesterday, and I wanted to cover this. Coinbase is now going to be listed on the S&P 500. And as time goes on, it just goes to show you that there's going to be more and more acceptance into crypto, and it's going to be pretty much a mainstay. Now, if we can keep up with this and not collapse and not have some kind of crazy black swan event like we did in, 2022, then maybe we could be okay. But this is just one more step. And of course, Brian Armstrong, very happy about this. Good for Coinbase. Not a big fan of their customer service, but I mean, I use them every day, so I can't really be too bitter about that. Good for these guys. If as the tide comes in, it all rises all boats. So that's great. And then also, another little story here, New York wants to become the epicenter of crypto and digital assets, right? Which I found strange because it's extremely difficult to actually open up a crypto industry in New York City with their BIT license. But this is what the mayor says, and I got to tell you, he had a pretty good strategy. We'll talk about that right now. So this is what is going on. Mayor Adams, who is running for a re-election, reiterated his commitment to making New York City a crypto hub. And when I read that first sentence, I'm like, he's running for re-election, so he's just going to, attach to whatever coattails is riding high. Today it's Bitcoin, tomorrow it's AI. Let's see how he rides it differently. But wait, he actually was a Bitcoin proponent a long time ago. And I'll tell you in a bit. So Adams is taking inspiration from Trump in another way. Next week, he's hosting New York City's first ever crypto summit, which he said will bring together city officials and representatives from the crypto industry to discuss ways the city can benefit from crypto and vice versa. So I thought to myself, I'm like, I've heard of Mayor Adams and what he's done in the past as far as like with crypto. And I remember there was this little piece that he actually came out, and he was standing on the doorsteps of, I think this was New York City Hall, and he was saying that, hey, next week's going to be great. We're going to host a digital asset conference. And then he started to talk about how he took his paycheck in crypto. And he says, all I can say is who's laughing now. I'm not going to play it. That's pretty much what he said. I was trying to remember. I'm like, when was that? And it was January 20th, 2022. It was an interesting story. He actually said for his first 3 paychecks, he wanted to be paid in Bitcoin and Ethereum. That got me thinking. I'm like, well, how much did he get? How much did he actually put into that? So I had to take a look at it to see what the mayor of New York City, apparently they get paid $258,000 per year. It's not bad. I should run for that. Sounds like a pretty good job. Get paid okay. Actually, that's a lot of stress. So probably not. But I thought about that. I'm like, okay, $258,000. That's roughly, what is that? Like $21,000 per month, $20,000 per month, somewhere around there, right? And then if we could say, well, it was his first 3 paychecks, that's his first 3 months. So he got $65,000 and he put it into Bitcoin and Ethereum. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, for back in that time in 2022, well, what was the price? And I remember, actually, that's not really that great. And this is what it was. So I went back and took a look at the snapshot of 23 January 2022, because the article was posted on the 20th. They said in 3 days he's going to get his paycheck and it'll be auto-converted into Bitcoin and Ethereum. The price back then was $36,276, which I guess, pretty good. And Ethereum was $25,000. Oh man, this is not good. Ethereum was $2,535. What's the price today for Ethereum? $2,673. Not a really good gainer, I hate to tell you. But that's pretty good. You got Bitcoin at $36,000 and you got what? 10,000. So we got a third of a Bitcoin, right? And then the next month, which would be February, it's 37,000. So we got maybe another third of Bitcoin. And then, not too good. 27th of March, 2022, it went up to 46,000. So maybe a fourth. I don't know. So he got so his first 3 paychecks, which is all I can say that he bought. He may have bought outside of that. He may have dollar cost, but seriously, he didn't do a good job. And this is why I'm not a big fan of people say, you got to lump sum, you got to lump sum, you got to lump sum. Well, if I lump summed in, I don't know, when Bitcoin was $108,000, that's not too good for me right now, right? I'm underwater, even though we're at 104,576, whatever it is. That's why I'm always talking about just slow and steady wins the race. It's very boring. It is. However, how would you have done, say, if you would have done the same thing that the mayor did, but you just kept dollar cost averaging and did what I like to call dynamic dollar cost averaging? If you don't know what that is, there's a link in the description. I explain it very easy. You just use Ben's website and you take a look at what the risk levels are. And as the risk goes down, you buy a little bit more. And when risk goes up, you buy a little bit less. It's very simple. Even I can do it. I'm not that smart, and I get it. So with this one, I just said, okay, well, let's just take that. The starting date, that's not right. November 1st. Let's back this up, shall we? Burp, 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 burp. January, right? January, let's just say the 1st. I don't know. January 1st, 2022, and you put $100 in a week. I think most of us can afford that, $100 a week. Some can't. I got you. But let's just say that you can. You did $100 a week in January 1st, 2022. And you did that only a year you only did that for a year? Shoot. You only did that for a year and you held on. And guess what? You beat Mayor Adams quite nicely, and you only put $21,000 in. Congratulations. You beat the guy that did a really smart move, quite honestly, but you just hung around for a lot longer, and your dollar cost average a hell of a lot less, and you came out a hell of a lot farther. This is why I'm always talking about dollar cost averaging. And you know what? I'm taking a look at this right now, and this is only for a year. Let's just say that you're like, you know what? The $100 a week, I think Bitcoin's going to do pretty well. And let's go to, I don't know, today. What is today? It's May 13th. Time's flying. So if you're doing on May 13th, 2025, a dynamic dollar cost average, and again, you buy a little bit less as time has gone on and just waited, now you have almost 1.2 Bitcoin. And your portfolio is worth $121,000, you put $26,800 in. So again, this is why I like the dynamic in. You know, I'm curious. What if I just did an equal amount, $100 every week, didn't have to think about it? Let me see. No, not too good, actually. Actually, you would have DCA'd $100 a week on Monday in 2022 to this time. You would have invested $17,600. That's not too bad. $51,000. Actually, you would have been pretty much right on point with Mayor Adams. This is why I'm always talking about the dynamic DCA part and how you can do better. Anyhow, let me know what you think about that in the comments section. I think it's pretty good. And then lastly, before we get to a little Q&A, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up as we were talking about the Ethereum portion to that. Ethereum and also altcoins. How are they doing? Well, I'm going to use Ben's site again. There's this thing called Does It Bleed? And when you get, and there's a link in the description, you can check this site out. Most of it, well, some of it's free, but the other part, you get at least 10% off for a first month. You want to check this. But Ethereum, as far as like the bleeder to Bitcoin, did you know? I might like to take a look at this. Now, of course, it's all time frame, right? And you can all cherry pick whatever information you want, but this is the facts. Over the last 1 day, 1 week, and 1 month, Ethereum has outperformed Bitcoin. Not in 3 months, not in 6 months. And if you've gone for 5 years, yeah, or 9 years, geez, that's sad. But 14%. Let's be honest, Ethereum over the last month is doing pretty good, but that's about it. And I'm happy for it because I have Ethereum and I'm sick of seeing it bleeding. But what about the other stuff, the other alts? How about XRP? How's that doing? Well, not too good, actually. Over the last day or a week, it's doing pretty good. But a month and 3 months, not so much. But over the 6 month, 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year, not too bad, actually. If you would have held it for that much time. And if you did, congratulations. XRP holders know what that is. But as I'm seeing this, the 1 day, 1 week, and 1 month, let's take a look at BNB. I think BNB did horrible. Yeah, look at this. 1 day and 1 week, it's up. But everything else, except for 5 years and 6 years, not too great. What about Solana? Not that great either. But still, it does paint a picture of the last 1 day, 1 week, and 1 month. It's up a little bit. 3 months and 6 months, no, you would have been better just getting into Bitcoin. What about Dogecoin? 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. 30% and 23%. What about, which is up? What about Cardano? 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. What about SWI? Again, not the day, pretty much one day, 1 week, 1 month, and 3 months. So there's a little bit of a tide turning if we're taking a look at the things that bleed. How about Tron? I was curious. One day, 1 week, not a month, but 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year, and 4 year. Yes. Interesting. Anyhow, I don't want to bore everybody to death with this, but there are some high points in the altcoins. I know people will say, just get into Bitcoin. That's fine. It's true. It's good. But there are some gems out there. Just the question is of what those actually are, and you got to find them. And I just showed you that there are some that are not bleeding against Bitcoin and doing reasonably well. But that's it for today. So look, if you like today's video, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing. What we talk about is very time sensitive, but that's it for this piece. Now, if you want to stick around, we'll do a little Q&A, answer all your questions, and we'll go from there. All right, let's get into it. Marina has a great question. Hey, Rob, may I ask your opinion of getting a loan against Bitcoin? Have you personally used Ledin or other platforms? Oh, I used a great platform. Or actually, I shouldn't say great. It was great at the time in 2021. It was called Celsius. And I used that platform for a nice fat loan for some real estate. And I got margin called and had to put it back. Got margin called and I got liquidated, which actually wasn't a bad thing because then the whole thing went belly up. And then Alex Mashinsky just got thrown into federal penitentiary for 12 years, which he should have. And it should have probably been longer. And I don't care if people say, oh, he was a victim. He wasn't a victim. He knew exactly what he was doing. Anyhow, back to the question. No, Marina, I am shell-shocked and I have PTSD and I will never use some type of a loan program. And I was listening to Simon Dixon do a Twitter Spaces or an X Spaces. And he was saying that these greedy corporations, and if you don't know who Simon Dixon is, I mean, I'll show you who he is. Why don't I just give you the information? So Simon Dixon's been around since, and investing in Bitcoin since, I think, if not 2010, 2011. He was buying Bitcoin at the very, very low, like $10, $12, something like that. And he's got a great storied, reasonable, and justified position in Bitcoin. Has been around for quite a long time. I've learned a lot from him. And when I listened to his spaces, and he was talking about Alex Mashinsky, and he said, these new corporations, these new companies, these new entities are coming out, and they're there to essentially take your Bitcoin and to do loans. And he goes, and they will collapse. I'm not saying they all will collapse. I'm just saying there is not a snowball's chance in hell I would ever do any kind of loans with any other company. And I cannot be more crystal clear on that because I don't trust anybody. But Marina was a good question. All right. DeMar says 12 years should have been 30 years. When are we going to die, borrow against your Bitcoin? Yeah, you know, it would take a lot for me to say, yeah, it sounds like a good plan. Let's try that. But I don't know. Retro Beast, Rob, it's one in the UK. I'm just chucking a like and a view for that. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. You know, I've been doing these later videos to kind of catch up with everything. Maybe I should go back to a little bit earlier stance. Let me know what you guys think about going back to like the earlier part of the day, like maybe like 4 hours before this, maybe. Yeah. Maybe like a 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time type of thing. Revere Report. You're back. Was worried you left the channel. I missed the bull run. No, it's very hard to do, like when I'm traveling to put out videos. And there's just sometimes when I'm just like, you know what? Everybody's going to be just fine. And it was a great run. Everybody's having everybody's portfolio's up. Everybody's very happy. I'm happy for everybody. Great. Yeah. Nice segue on ETH's performance. Man. I just wish it would do better. That's all. Because I know a lot of people have it. I personally didn't lean on it too hard this cycle. I leaned way more heavy on Bitcoin. It's like 75% of my portfolio as far as crypto goes. So, I mean, that was the one where I'm like, okay, as long as that one does good, I'll be fine. And it worked out. Let's see. Woo, I'm up 130% in a month. Only possible in crypto. That is true. I love this space. I'm glad I ditched S&P 500 3 years ago. And S&P 500 is doing magnificent, actually. There's been a lot of talk on tariffs and medication costs being cut 30 to 80%. I know that's a big thing, but markets, I don't think, really care about that unless you're investing into Pfizer or stuff like that. But yeah, things are looking pretty good. And I was surprised that inflation cooled. We'll see what happens during the tariffs as they come about. But things are moving fast, and it seems like these deals are being made every day. And the tariffs that people have priced in already may not come to reality. And it sounds pretty good. We'll see. There's a 90-day moratorium for the Chinese American tariffs. So let's see what they can figure out. Looking good. So, Jimmy says, so the flipping must be canceled. Yes. Not boring information. Excellent. Hey, Esquire. Bore me, Rob. I'm already bored. It's not good. Not late. Kat, you're just on time. You're in time for the good stuff. This is when we talk, do Q&A. Let's see. Time frame, mixing trader mentality with long-term investments. Idea equals pain. Learning curve, gift from CRYPTOVERSE. Yeah, it's a good one. Catholic K. Celsius sucks. Exactly. Yeah. Jane says, what do you think about MSTY, or MicroStrategy covered call yield, high yield ETF? They're doing a lot of, it's a risky play, but if you believe that Bitcoin will continue to go up and go up forever, like Michael Saylor, and I believe it's reasonable. I mean, I think it's not going to stop at 150,000. I think as time goes on, especially with the U.S. backing, I think it'll go. I don't see a problem with it hit $1 million, $2 million per Bitcoin. I just don't. So, especially as people are figuring out about inflation and what causes inflation and money printing and the debasement of the dollar. I mean, once everybody figures that out and they see Bitcoin like, oh, that's why it was. So yeah, I think for that, I might actually get into that, but who knows? We'll see. All right. Joe's having a good time. Good. What do you think of SUI or SUI? I think it's the darling of this cycle. I think it's the Solana of last cycle. I think it's going to do extremely well. And it's done extremely well the last, let's see. What's the number? There's 12. It's 12 now. Wow, it's about $4. I'll take that. But as good as it's done, I take that back. Yeah, January 4th, it was $5.30. I don't see why I can't go to that. And I mean, everything I see around it is more partnerships, more dealings, more positive news. Yeah, I think it'll do pretty well. So I've been buying it. Let's see. ETH Bitcoin is showing some bullish indications. True. One mullet, sniping. I know that guy. Okay. Kranskinator says the whole point of a season is to earn lifestyle chips and accumulate more Bitcoin in the bear. However, success is difficult this cycle, so invest wisely. Oh, speaking of Kranskinator, we have to do the drawing for the Bitcoin conference tickets. We'll do that tomorrow. If I forget, please remind me. I have 2 tickets, and everybody has filled out the form, so that's locked in place. I'll pick those tomorrow and let everybody know who it is. Let's see. What else we got? CryptoKeeper says, where's SWE speed? Real time isn't pushing any limits yet. It is. Yeah, it's a fun thing about TPS. We'll talk about, here's the theoretical TPS. This is what we think it can actually hit. And then they'll be like, this is what it's actually hitting. And then, of course, since there's no bottlenecks and we can't really say what that is, this is what we think it's going to be. And I know people would say, well, like Toncoin, they're supposed to be the fastest because they did it in real time, but it was in under pretty pristine conditions as they tested it all out. So maybe Toncoin's the fastest. Maybe Solana's the fastest with their new upgrade. I'm not for sure. But I just had an interesting conversation with the H-Bar Bull. We did a quick interview, and I was pretty blown away with H-Bar and how fast it actually is. 10,000 TPS, even though it's throttled down fractions of a penny for payments. And I think it's in the top 15. So, but it's one of those, it's a funny thing. Hedera is one of those projects that was like 2018, 2019. So it doesn't have the speculation hype that say like a SUI or a SUI does. And I hate to say it, but that's pretty much what runs up prices these days is speculation. What's the next great big thing? And then that's why there's always a darling of the cycle. And that's probably going to be sweet. Rob, Jared from Xenos. Don't forget to mention Kramer said there is no way Bitcoin reaches 200K this cycle. Guess we can count on Bitcoin 200K this cycle for sure. Let's hope so. I'd like to see that. Speed. Oh, cute. Liking the green screen effect of the wind blowing the curtains. It's very expensive to do on Fiverr. You have to go to Tenor for that. But yeah, it's a nice look today. Nate, I don't do social out of YouTube. Too dangerous. Solid play. Solid play. I agree. Caspa is fastest and undervalued. It is undervalued, I think. Hedera Stealth in the room. Nice. Crypto Keeper. It's an explosion of real-time use case. I can spend crypto like regular cash. That'd be nice. Michael says, according to my mathematical genius and decades of speculation, my prediction for the Bitcoin all-time high is when it hits block 918,689. Excellent. I don't know what that's going to mean, but okay. Let's see. Never Quit says, you got any vacation properties in Rio Grande or Luquillo, Fajardo? No, we have them in Guaynabo and Ocean Park. So sorry, can't help you. But I'll be honest with you guys, I don't advertise my rental properties here because that's just a great way for a wrench attack. So I think you will never see me advertising those. Let's see. Oh, that's another story. So I keep hearing about all these wrench attacks. There's another one, I don't know. There was some, I want to say a crypto exchange operator or CEO, I guess his wife was kidnapped just recently in France, or maybe it was the uncle, I forgot which. But they tried to get a ransom and they caught the people and that's it. But that was like the fourth or fifth one I've heard in like the last 6 months. So what I'll be doing is moving the majority of my crypto over to iTRUST and their custody services. So I'll be in the transition of that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, iTRUST, they are a partner of the channel. Usually we talk about them for Roth IRAs, though they switched over and now they have for custody service. And they're using the same custody service that BlackRock and MicroStrategy uses. It isn't cheap, but it's the best in business. And I'm going to be moving a big chunk over that way. And the reason why is because it's not kept in crypto. I can't get wrench attacked, beat down, and then kidnapped. And then they can say, hey, iTrust, send us all this guy's Bitcoin. Well, we can't do that because it's in dollars. And we can do it in dollars, but the thing is that it's going to go to one of your banks. And that's going to be a KYC AML thing, and they're going to catch you at some point. So it's going to make it a lot harder for you. And that's what I'll be doing. And I think everybody should do it. Not the whole thing, obviously, but if you're worried about like losing your paperwork or your seed phrase, or you're worried about, that sketchy person that's been hanging around the house too long, or maybe you're just, leave your TANGEM card or your ledger around and you don't really feel safe with that. And you have everything that you've ever bought in your ledger or one TANGEM or one whatever wallet. Maybe you should diversify. Maybe put something a little bit into another wallet. Maybe put one into iTrust. Maybe do an ETF. Just saying. If you got 0.1 Bitcoin in 2030, you'll probably be a millionaire at that point. Something to think about. Yeah. Yeah. Janelle says, Puerto Rico legislation to cancel tax-free crypto moving forward, or no? Maybe. Since I moved there in end of 2020, they've been talking about that for the whole time. And apparently they were talking about that 10 years before I got there. So they can, what it's like? That bill is like, if you don't know what we're talking about, Puerto Rico has no capital gains tax if you move there. It is a Commonwealth of America, so you don't have to give up your citizenship. It's probably the best. It's one of the best places on the planet. It's great. People are awesome. Food's pretty good. Beaches are awesome. And the weather is always perfect. And that capital gains tax is a pretty big thing. So that's why a lot of people move there, like myself. You still have to pay for your property taxes. You still have to pay for federal taxes. You still have to actually give to specific charities within Puerto Rico, and it's sizable. It's 5 figures. But yeah, they've been talking about disbanding that law for 10 plus years and never goes through. It's the same kind of thing that you hear in like Congress, where congressmen will stand up and like, oh, you know what? We got to stop having everybody get this insider information and buy stocks. And we're going to stop congressmen and women from buying stocks and their family members. And everybody rah, rah. And then it makes the rounds and it dies. And it's the same thing in Puerto Rico. So that's that for that. Yeah. Is Bobby transferring his stuff to iTRUST too? No, because, you know, there's no holdings for Fartcoin or whatever meme coin that Bobby's holding now. So no, Bobby just holds that. That's my friend Bobby. He's an idiot. And he gets into like the meme coins and the really risky stuff. He just keeps those on his hot wallet because he doesn't care. Although he did a good job. He, like I said before, once it doubles, he always sells. He sells it, and then he's riding on house money. Then when it doubles or triples or quadruples again, sells half. Now he's in profit. He's a very relaxed guy. Good drinker. Funny guy. Was it Missouri limited capital gains tax? I did not hear that, but if that is that capital gains tax for everything? Because, and then you have to think about this, there is a state level capital gains tax, which I believe Florida and Texas do not have that, and Nevada. And if Missouri's in there, sure. But there's the federal capital gains tax, which you're stuck with that. Let's see. Ooh, political talk. Regardless, you're ambassador for Puerto Rico. You made my happy that dream. It's great. If you guys follow me on X, usually when I'm there, I'm posting the beach walks I do every single day. Every single day I could go to the beach. I'm the luckiest SOB in the world. It's awesome. True. That is fake news. Maybe. Rob, was there an amount you wanted to achieve money-wise to retire? No. I've been retired for like a decade. So there was never really a money amount. There was one thing I wanted to do after 2021. That is because, you know, we talked about Voyager and Celsius, and, you know, BlockFi and FTX, they collapsed. I didn't really deal with those guys, but I did talk a lot about that. And I felt like when they collapsed, Celsius, I caught within 24 hours. That's not enough time. It never was enough time. And I said, hey, something going on. I heard this from Consensus. You should probably get things out. Wasn't fast enough, wasn't strong enough. And people lost a lot of money. And then with Voyager, I found out 2 weeks prior, because they were a publicly listed company. And I said, hey, they did an uncollateralized loan. Everybody needs to get out. You can still use it, but you have to take it off. And that's when I made those 5 rules, which are with us today. So the only goal I really had from 2022 to now was just to make sure that everybody not was made whole, but was at least profitable and got back on their feet and they were taken care of. That was pretty much about it. And that's why, like, I've talked about stepping down from the channel once we hit the blow off top bull run. Because I mean, it's fun. It's fun times, but you know, there's always something new to do. Let's see. Yes. Well, thank you, Marina. I appreciate it. Has Bobby got rugged yet? I've been a couple times, but he doesn't really care because he's always investing the amount that he can afford to lose. He knows that everything's a scam. He doesn't leave things on exchanges. All he does leave them on hot wallets. And he doesn't use leverage, and he takes profits along the way. He's like my kid. I miss the island life every single day. Yeah, me too. I was just in like Huntington Beach to watch the pro volleyball players. It was pretty good, but it's cold over there. Not a fan. Yeah. Hi from Belgium. Palantir partner BBAI just popped out of its long channel. Okay. Thank you again for saving us from Voyager. You're welcome. Glad that I could help some people. I know some people were like, you never told me, but it was like 2 weeks. And if you didn't follow me in that 2 weeks, you got stuck. And lastly, do you think AVAX is going to go up hard like next cycle? Well, I can give you a price prediction. I can tell you that. So this is going to be good. You're going to like this. Come for the news. stay for the crappy price predictions. So, wow. Avalanche was $134 at some point. Phew. So what was the low? $3. So my price prediction for Avalanche, 2025, not 2030, not 2030 or anything. It's between 24 cents and $2,800. Somewhere between that. Somewhere between 28 cents and $2,800. Somewhere around there. Or I could let Ben's website give you a price prediction. And this is actually might be, I mean, it might be closer than mine. I doubt it though. So let's see. So if we're looking at risk levels, right now it's not as risky. It's below 0.5. You're at 0.43. And then as the price goes up, the risk goes up, right? So at a perfect bull run, at 1.00, you're looking at a price prediction of $360, which would be, damn it, where'd it go? Would be double? Yeah, 130, 268. Yeah, that would be way 2.5 times of what it used to be. So that's your price prediction, and that's it. No more predictions, please. Next video, all price predictions. All right. All right, everybody. That's it for today. Today's video, like and subscribe. Don't forget, tomorrow we'll talk about who won the Bitcoin conference tickets, and I hope to see you there. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of the day or night. See you guys on the next one. Adios.